Hey Sagittarius, this is your monthly tarot reading. So this is for Sagittarius Sun or Rising for the month of September in 2023. So of the readings that I put out monthly on my channel, these are the more extended readings. So wow, I love when there's like a snap or a crack when the cards come out. So these we will be taking a look at what is the overall theme, how is the month unfolding, like beginning, middle, end of the month, challenge, spiritual advice. If you're looking kind of more for like little bite-sized style readings, I also put out bi-weekly readings. I just put out the videos a couple days before the beginning of September for August 30th full blue moon to the new moon on September 14th. So that's up and relevant right now, and you can check those out. Those are approximately 5-minute videos for all of the different signs. So, all right. Let's see, what deck am I feeling for my Sagittarians? I'm torn. I was originally going to go with this, so let's start here. I think I might end up using multiple decks. Actually, I'm going to start with this deck. So let's take a look at how the month is unfolding for you for the beginning third of the month, then the middle of the month, and then the end of the month. By the way, I have the most epic shower, like late day shower that started outside my window right now, and it's like so mystical and amazing looking. It's just very fantasy, otherworldly kind of scene, so I'm definitely enjoying this reading. All right, so what is going on for the end of the month there? Okay, wow, there's some growth happening for you, Sag. There's definitely some growth that is occurring here. I want to get a sense of what is the challenge, but I'm feeling like a different deck. Which deck? I'm torn again. I feel like there's like several that are calling out to me. Give me 1 second here. Let's see. All right, well, I mean, you know, gotta go with it. They keep switching, but this is the one. So I don't know if you could hear the rain in the background, so I hope that pause wasn't too long of a pause for you. All right. Oh, some resistance to doing the inward, taking a look at things. All right, I actually feel like it's this card here. I'm gonna have to make some choices, Sagittarius. Okay, so let us get a good long look at how things are unfolding here. So keep in mind that these are collective readings. So if for whatever reason this feels like, I'm not really feeling like this resonates, and this is your sun sign, go check out your rising sign. As always, I say this often, if you want to get a very specific reading and get granular about what it is for you, then the best way to do that is a one-to-one reading, whether that's with me or someone else. If it's with me, information is down in the description box below. So in order to help focus this information, like what is the overall theme that's coming up that feels important and that is being pointed out to you for the month of September, and we have the 12th house. You know, this just, it can be quite a lot. You know, it's like there are beautiful things and challenging things to, I think, all of the houses. And so the 12th house can be altered states of consciousness and spirituality and merging with the oneness and having faith and trust in the, you know, whatever you want to call it, the universe, the way things, synchronicity, the way things work, the way things flow. Also having like a greater connection to your sense of spirituality and sensitivity as well. So there can be really beautiful things like nature, all these different things, right? And the other side of that is like, and mental health is a part of that. You know, the other side of that is that it can feel like it can move into escapism. And that could be through escapism through anything from Netflix to substances to whatever it is. And I'm not holding any judgment there. I just think that there are different ways that people can escape into yoga, you know? So it's just like the ways in which we do that. And also mental health, being on a downward trend, feeling strenuous, strained, difficult, maybe even psychosis in the extreme cases, you know, and feeling like there is this foggy kind of cloudiness, maybe even a lack of clarity around like how to have your anchored faith and trust in something that makes you feel safe and grounded and in this world, you know, whatever that is, your sense of spirituality. I think is there anything else I want to say about that? No, I think those are the main things. Yeah. Oh, and isolation. I guess I could say that. You know, and isolation isn't necessarily bad, right? Like that can look like spending a lot of time alone because you're tending to your, we could call it your inner garden, your inner world. And then on the other hand, you know, isolation can look like isolating from people in a way that's unhealthy. So these are the things that are up, you know, your connection to whatever you would call spiritual, divine, otherness in that kind of esoteric, ethereal type way. And then also the types of things that come up in terms of like, are you able to be present with what's difficult, or are you struggling with it too? Whoa, that was an incredible lightning strike. Incredible like difficulty and feeling isolated and alone and overwhelmed and struggling with this, right? So just feel like there's some deep things that are really up for you guys right now. And you know, there is always the opportunity to be with it or to run from it. And also no judgment if you are running from it, you know, it's just, we're talking about it because it's here to show you what's up and what needs to be looked at and what the overall theme is. So we start out the beginning of the month with the Judgment card, and I'm not really surprised given what we just saw that came up. The Judgment card showing up is basically staying true to yourself and putting in the checks and balances to make sure that you are being tactful and fair and diplomatic, and with the way that you go about creating things with other people or for yourself in this world, how you speak to others, you know, and perhaps that has felt more challenging lately. Perhaps you've felt like it's been difficult to balance how to be tactful and stay true to yourself. Perhaps it's a lot of different things, but there have been some challenges possibly that you've been experiencing, or ones that you're going to feel into in the beginning of the month of September, right? And nothing bad about that card. It's just more like calling you to be honest with yourself, and also to, you know, I think when we're looking at how we can be in conscious communication with others, there is this need to be able to zoom out so that we can own what's ours and see what's actually applicable or necessary to communicate to others, right? Oh, it's really coming down out there. It's amazing. I don't know if you guys can hear all of that. So we come into the middle of the month and we have the Six of Swords. And I get the sense that whatever has been stirred up, whatever is being stirred up internally here, just overall for the month, but whatever has like been coming up or has come up in the beginning part of the month of September, you reach a point where you're just like, I cannot be slowed down by these things. I need to keep going. Like I need to continue my path. Like I'm on a trajectory. I'm moving on to my next journey, my next land, my next adventure. And, you know, if some people are not getting on the boat with me, maybe there might be some grief about that. Maybe there might be some sadness about, or some, you know, anxiety about whether will they ever meet up with me again? Will they ever cross this pond themselves and, you know, or lake themselves? Will they ever also meet up with me at some later date? And the thing is that there is just enough of the heavy energy and being dragged down by that. You might have some tears to shed about it. It might feel a little challenging, or, you know, you might wonder what's going to happen. And at the same time, you're being told like, this is the way that you're meant to go. You're meant to traverse some maybe emotional waters, but there are things for you to do. And this is not about slowing down your progress because you feel like you might be leaving people behind, or afraid that that could maybe sever things or mean that it's done forever, right? I'm not saying to bulldoze people, right? Like there's a balance. I just mean that sometimes we tend to, that's my cat, we tend to slow ourselves and our progress down in the name of keeping people in our lives. And, you know, sometimes what they need, what we need is just different at the time. I think that's clear. I don't want to dive into that too much more, but, you know, they might catch up with you at some other time, but this is a time for you to continue your progress and not be slowed down. And I think in the end third of this month of September, we have the Temperance card, which is actually your card. This is the card of This is a Sag card. It's a Sagittarius card, you know? And so there is this, kind kind of blending together of seemingly disparate parts of, I would say, based on what I'm seeing here, your life or elements of yourself, like different maybe facets of who you were. Like I almost get the sense like you've been stretched in these different directions, and it's almost like having to pull them in to be able to continue to focus on what's important to you and continue your journey, but also needing to find a way to blend things more harmoniously. And things that seem seemingly disparate is there's this mixing kind of quality to where you take, like, let's say for instance in this particular image, two different liquids, two different kind of substances, and through the process of mixing it becomes a third substance, a third element, a third path, a third way of doing things. And also this card is definitely associated with the staying true to yourself. And so I feel like that's coming up, this like bookending in different ways, different kind of energy. It's bookending the month. And so I think you're stepping into it in a new way by the end of the month. Like you've had some realizations and you're realizing, okay, like this is how things can blend together more harmoniously. Like this is how, once you've made that decision, right? Once you've said, I'm going to keep going forward, and then there is this mixing, and it almost feels like a higher calling in some ways, right? Like I think that you're stepping into something that is true to you, maybe even feels more true to you, and feels important, and feels like you're being called into, you know, I'm not saying like you're called into like a higher path. That's not what I mean. I mean, maybe, but like this is really just about being called into stepping into more of yourself, more of your authentic self, and also being able to bring in all these elements. Like I think you're being stretched to be able to handle more than maybe you have had to in a while. Not that you haven't previously in your life, but in a different way. And I feel like this is maybe stretching your capacity for what you can manage, and the different details and things that you can actually manage at once. Like there's a stretching or there's a widening of your capacity, your ability to have a container and hold all of these different things. So I think it's really interesting. And then we come into the challenge, and the challenge is the Hermit card, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I said that I just see this as being you know, just maybe some resistance to going inward, to spending that time internally, right? Like I think you might be vacillating between like, okay, yes, I can do this, and I, you know, I need my time alone, I need my time to like, or I want to escape, or it's like it's a lot, and feeling like this is so overwhelming. I don't know that I feel like I have the energy or, you know, the bandwidth, or the, like, I don't want to continue to ask myself these big questions. Can I just not take a break, please? Right? Like it's that kind of energy. But the Hermit card is here to say like, hey, there is an internal guidance system that you cut yourself off from when you are not present to the truth of yourself and who you are and where you're going. And so being connected to what it is that you want, like how do I want to feel on a daily basis, how the life that I create, not just what do I want it to be, what things do I want to accomplish, or where do I want to live, not just those kinds of things, but how do I want to feel overall about my life and myself inside of that world, and the presence that I have in the presence of others. How do I want other people to feel around me? Do I want to have an impact? What do those things look and feel like? But moreover, like how do I want to feel? And are there things that I thought I was shooting for that are now outdated and not necessarily the same? How can I update those values or those feelings about what I'm wanting to create in my life? So I really hope you guys can hear this storm. It's so epic. And then we come into the last card, which is the spiritual advice that we have showing up, which is the Two of Pentacles. And, you know, I said earlier that there is, you know, I think you're having to decide between certain kinds of opportunities, right? Like we often come to these places while we're adulting, and there's, you know, there's a divergence from the main path that we're on, and might be split into, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 different paths. And it's like, okay, which one of these feels like I, you know, like weighing out the options of these particular paths. But then also there is this like need for balance, and there is this need for you to be able to step into a place of your intuition and to be able to hold and balance in the middle of life doing all the crazy things that it does. There is the need to be able to balance like work life, home life, family life, you know, career path, relationship, whatever it is. And so there is this kind of feeling of balancing on a high wire and holding like the stick, you know, with the old school photos that you would see of somebody on like a unicycle on a high wire and they've got a stick in there, you know, or they're walking across it, that kind of a thing. It's like there is this consistent balance. And I think part of what that points to is the need to be able to be very present, right? And we're talking about this like relating back to the 12th house, right? But the need to be present, the need to, because if you're not present, you can't stay in balance, right? Like if you've ever noticed when you've been like balancing on one foot or you've been doing some kind of balancing act and you're trying to focus on one point, well, that focus, that presence, that attention is what helps you stay in that state of balance. But the moment you allow yourself to get super distracted, you get thrown off kilter. You know, sometimes that can be fun, but this is what you're being asked to do, to pay attention to. So I hope that this feels insightful and helpful, and, you know, definitely check out the, like, another piece of the puzzle, I believe, would be in looking at the full to new moon bi-weekly video that I just put out so that you can get another sense of that. I'll have that up on the screen somewhere. So definitely check that out. If this was helpful, please give the video a like. It helps me to find favor with the algorithm gods, and also subscribe and hit the notification bell while you're at it so you don't miss any of these videos on the horizon. Also, you'll see in the description box a GoFundMe for my dad who lost everything in the fires in Lahaina. You know, I'm more just pointing to it because, you know, if you feel called to donate, awesome. If not, if you feel okay with sharing it with your community, if anyone's wanting to contribute to people who lost everything in that space, then I'm just trying to help out my dad. So it feels a little awkward to put that out here, but I really want to help him. So anyhow, thank you guys for your time. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.